My name is Marina Calder. I'm 34, the youngest daughter in a family that built an empire from nothing, and then tried to erase me from it. The Calders don't whisper, they instruct. They don't forgive, they restructure. And I was always the variable no one could control. Odette was the golden one. Always camera-ready. CEO in waiting. Sharp, strategic, terrifyingly efficient. She learned to weaponize kindness by the time she was 16. I learned how to disappear. I worked quietly in the shadows, data compliance, digital audits, the dull stuff no one cared about until it became evidence. When she handed me the coffee that morning, her hands were warm. She smiled like she meant it. "You're going to need this," she said, tapping the cup twice. The boardroom reeked of fresh-cut orchids and fear. 7 men, 3 women, all in dark suits, all silent, waiting. Odette's voice echoed against glass. "Let's begin." I barely sat down before the accident happened. The coffee cup flew from my hand. No, it was yanked. Helena, our housekeeper for over 20 years, had stumbled. The entire cup splashed across my blouse and lap, steaming hot, burning through the thin silk. Gasps. Chaos. I looked up. Helena's eyes locked on mine. She leaned close, too close, and whispered, just loud enough for me to hear, "Don't drink anything she gives you." That's when I noticed her hand shaking. She didn't apologize. She didn't have to. "Sorry, Miss Calder," she said aloud, stepping back. "I'll get something for that." Odette's smile didn't waver, but her eyes flicked to the cup, then to Helena, then to me. I was escorted to the guest suite to change. Blouse ruined, skin red, mind racing. Who poisons coffee? Who saves someone from it and stays silent? A small burn near my rib cage began to sting. My pulse was offbeat. Not fear. Something colder, heavier. When I returned to the boardroom, the mood had shifted. Chairs shifted. Pens tapped. Odette cleared her throat. "We've reviewed the transfer agreements," she said. "Effective this week, majority shares will be consolidated under a private trust. Unanimous vote." I blinked. A screen lit up. Legal documents. Signatures. My name. My signature. "That's not real," I said, standing. Odette barely looked up. "It's already been notarized. You signed the e-doc last Friday at 2:17 p.m. "No," I said. "I was in Seattle." Silence. Charles Levine, our family attorney, spoke next. "We have the timestamp. IP address matches your login." I felt cold. Hollow. Not from the spill. From the lie. Odette smiled again. "Maybe you forgot. You've been overwhelmed lately." The way she said overwhelmed, it sliced. I stepped back. The boardroom spun. My breath caught. "I didn't sign that," I said again, quieter. Helena's voice echoed in my mind. "Don't drink anything she gives you." I left without permission. In the hallway, I pulled out my phone, logged into my email archive. There it was, a digital envelope, opened, from my address, sent, signed, not by me. The IP? A Calder server, VPN protected, logged at the exact moment I was boarding a plane. I called the IT desk. No answer. I called my office line. Busy. I tried to log in to our internal audit dashboard. Access denied. My entire digital identity was being erased while I stood in our own damn hallway. At the corner of the screen, a new email appeared. No sender. No subject. Just one line. "That wasn't your signature, but someone wants you to believe it was." I didn't sleep. By morning, the fake signature had been downloaded to 3 separate drives. One went into the safe deposit box downtown. One to my attorney. One I hid in a ceramic pot in my kitchen. I was done playing Calder chess with only pawns. Helena didn't answer my calls. Not once. Not even a text. I drove back to the estate. Fog clung to the windows like someone exhaled against the glass. Rain fell sideways. The gates opened late, manual override. The usual rhythm? Off. Inside, the walls smelled too clean, like bleach over blood. Helena was waiting at the bottom of the stairs, stiff as marble. Her apron was spotless. Her hands weren't. "She's not here," she said. "Left early. Board follow-up." I narrowed my eyes. "Then why are the lawyers still upstairs?" "She didn't blink. She told them to wait for you." Cut. I walked past her, boots heavy on marble. Upstairs, 2 closed doors. My father's old study locked. Odette's office open. I stepped in. The hum of electronics. A single desk lamp on. Rain light washed across the floor. Her desk was clean. Too clean. But on the credenza? A cup. Same shape as mine yesterday. I walked closer. Lifted it. Cold. Faint scent of almond. And something acidic underneath. I remembered what Helena said. Don't drink anything she gives you. Click. Behind me, a door opened. Charles Levine. No briefcase. No smile. "You shouldn't be here, Marina." I faced him, holding the cup. "You drugged me. You forged my signature. What else did you help her cover?" He sighed, almost bored. "You're spiraling. You're not well. I've been telling them that for months." My chest went still. He wasn't trying to intimidate me. He was laying groundwork. Institutionalization. Mental instability. A legal basis to strip autonomy. Conservatorship filings. I'd seen the process before. Quiet. Final. Legal. I stepped back. He didn't move. "Everything Odette's doing," I said, "it's to protect the company, right? Clean up Dad's records. Redirect the trust. That's what you told her." He blinked. "Just once." "I suggest you take some time away," he said. "We can arrange a retreat. You need rest." Retreat. A pretty word for prison. I walked out. Fast. Helena wasn't in the hallway anymore. Downstairs. My pulse loud. Door. Slam. Rain hit my face. I didn't stop. I drove straight to the office. Downtown. Our building loomed over the loop, gray glass and silence. Inside, the security guard barely looked up. "You're early, Ms. Calder." I nodded. In the elevator, I opened the admin terminal on my phone. My access was still active. Until it wasn't. Access denied. Server error. Credentials revoked. Cut. 24 floors up, I stepped out. Lights dimmed for after-hours mode. No voices. No footsteps. Just the sound of the city outside and the HVAC breathing. My desk was clean. The drawers? Locked. Except one. Inside, nothing. Except a folded note. "We warned you." A ping on my phone. An unknown number. "Check your shared drive. Now." I ran to a terminal. Logged into the backup system. Through a back door I'd built months ago. Folder. Audits private. File clean exit. M. I opened it. Documents lined up. Dozens of PDFs. Psychiatric evaluations with my name on them. Dates I was never seen. Claims of hallucinations. Insomnia. Paranoia. One form. 72-hour involuntary hold. Signed. Scheduled for next Tuesday. My breath caught. They weren't stealing my inheritance. They were erasing me. Another ping. "Marina, get out now. You're being watched." The lights above me flickered. I turned. Movement in the reflection of the window. A figure. Dark coat. Hood. Stood outside the glass office across the hall. Watching me. I stood. Walked quickly to the emergency stairwell. Door slammed. Footsteps behind me. Heavy. I ran. Down 14 flights. My lungs burned. Out the side exit. Into the alley. Rain thick. A car engine turned on. Headlights blinded. I froze. Then the car peeled out. Vanished. I stood in the alley. Soaked, shaking, my pulse echoing in my throat. Someone wanted me dead. But someone else was trying to help me. If they're rewriting my life, what else have they erased? Lex answered on the third ring. Same voice. Same attitude. but something in her tone cracked when I said the word Eleanor. "You sure you want to dig her up?" she asked. "Someone already did," I said. "They just didn't expect me to find her." Cut. 30 minutes later, we were inside Lex's apartment, top floor, blinds down, monitors lit like a cockpit. The air smelled like solder and cold pizza. Nothing had changed, except us. Lex clicked through my flash drive, her fingers fast, precise. "You kept that back door I built into the Calder archive?" I didn't trust them then. I trust them less now. Smart. We're in. Folder after folder. Financials. Audit logs. Old HR records. Then, "Wait," Lex said. "This." She opened a directory labeled dormant. Inside, one file. Video. Corrupted. Lex frowned. "Looks like someone scrubbed the header, but left fragments. Classic rookie cover-up." She patched in an audio scrubber. Ran filters. 10 seconds of static. Then a whisper. "If you found this, I'm probably already dead." Lex sat up straighter. I forgot to breathe. The screen flickered. A woman's face, Eleanor sang. Shadows under her eyes. A bruise on her collarbone. Her voice shaking. "They made me sign the audit, then told me to leave town. When I said no, they sent him." "Him who?" I whispered. Lex rewound. Froze the frame. In the background, barely visible, a suit. Male. Tall. Talking to someone off camera. Eleanor stared into the lens. I left a full copy in the backup vault. Calder archives. Folder. Initiate read. I encrypted it under M's credentials. It's the only copy. Don't let them find it first. Then static. Lex turned to me. This was time-stamped 6 years ago. Just 2 weeks before she what? Disappeared. Odette said she moved to Spain. No contact. No trace. Yeah, well, dead women don't usually need passports. My hands trembled. I remembered Eleanor. Quiet. Brilliant. Gone without goodbye. I'd asked about her once. HR told me she'd accepted a private consulting position. I believed them. Like a fool. Lex copied the file to an encrypted drive. We need to find initiate read. If it exists, it could burn them all. Cut. We went to storage. Calder kept off-network servers in a downtown facility. Cold. Silent. Buried under concrete. You needed a 4-digit PIN, a security badge, and retina scan. I had all 3. Barely. Inside, rows of black towers blinked like eyes. "Find your terminal," Lex said. "Fast." We moved like ghosts. 3rd row. Unit 114. Calder's secondary backup. My old credentials, miraculously, still worked. Lex plugged in. Found it. One file. Initiate read. Password protected. "Do it," I said. Lex typed. The encryption peeled away. Documents loaded. Names. Transfers. Shell companies. Cayman. Estonia. Private jets. Medical supply contracts signed by Calder execs. Laundering funds from false billing. One name repeated again and again. Odette Calder. But beside every signature, another. C. Levine. Lex looked at me. He's not just helping her. He built the system. I stared at the screen. They buried Eleanor for this. Then a click. A sound outside the unit. Metal scraping. Someone entering the storage bay. Lex's eyes widened. Grab the drive. I yanked it free. The overhead lights flickered. Footsteps. We ran. Down the corridor. Past tower rows. Lex tripped on a cable, cursed. I pulled her up. Security door in sight. Beep. Beep. Come on. I screamed. The lock disengaged. We burst into the lobby. Breathless. Rain smeared the glass windows. No one followed. But I felt it. Someone had been inside. Lex looked at me. We should go to the police. They'd bury it. Just like her. Outside, I turn on my phone. 5 missed calls from an unknown number. A new voicemail. You're not supposed to have that file. We warned you once. I looked at Lex. They don't want justice, I said. They want silence. My phone buzzed again. A new message. Drop this. Or drop dead. I showed Lex. She didn't flinch. Then we don't drop it. We double down. We walked outside. A white sedan idled across the street. Its engine started as we stepped off the curb. It didn't follow. Just rolled away. Watching. Waiting. The woman they erased just came back to life. And she's speaking to me. By morning, the message had vanished. No trace. No sender ID. No record in the system. Lex confirmed it. They're scrubbing in real time. That's next-level surveillance. You're not paranoid, Marina. You're hunted. I looked out the window. The street looked normal. A jogger. 2 dog walkers. A man reading the paper on a bench. Normal lies. I had one shot before they closed every door. So I made a call I never wanted to make. Nolan Gray, Calder's former compliance director. The only one who ever questioned Odette publicly. And the only one who disappeared right after. He picked up after 2 rings. I told myself I wouldn't talk to anyone with that last name again. I'm not like them. That's what your sister said, before she buried me. I met him at an old diner in Logan Square. He looked thinner, older, more angular. His hands shook slightly when he reached for his coffee. No one disappears by accident, he said. They erased my career, reputation, pension, overnight. I filed a report. I went to AMC. I had proof. Where is it? He pulled out a flash drive, slid it across the table. Encrypted, double layer, bank codes, shell accounts, even payroll fraud. But there's more. What? Odette's not the top. I froze. What do you mean? He looked around, leaned closer. There's a name that shows up in wire transfers. Large ones. Personal accounts. He scribbled on a napkin. M. Lawrence. My chest tightened. Mitchell Lawrence. My mother's longtime accountant. Family friend. Trusted. Quiet. Always present. Never loud. Another cut. Back at Lex's, we ran his name through public registries. Dozens of hits. But one stood out. He was the registered trustee for a shadow account tied to a dormant LLC, Aurora Trust Holdings. The same entity that now held majority Calder shares. And the address? Not corporate. A beachside property in Carmel, California. Lex turned. Guess who bought that house under an alias 2 months ago? She showed me the title transfer. Odette Calder Lawrence. I blinked. She married him? Lex frowned. Or she used his name to cover something worse. Cut. I needed access. Not assumptions. I drove straight to Mitchell's office. Same old wooden building. Same dead plants in the lobby. But the receptionist was new. Mr. Lawrence is out of the country, she said, not looking up. Since when? Last week. No return date noted. I leaned in. Tell him Marina Calder stopped by. That got her attention. She stiffened. I'll pass along the message. I left. Fast. Outside, my phone buzzed. Unknown number again. Text. You're close. Too close. Then another. Check your mother's safe. I stopped breathing. My mother's apartment was 5 blocks away. Gated. Always locked. She hadn't lived there since the stroke. Odette managed everything now. But I still had a key. Inside, the air smelled like old roses and dust. Time frozen in velvet and brass. I went to the study. Behind her bookcase was a wall safe. 4-digit code. I hadn't known it for years. Then I remembered. My mother's favorite quote. Even angels fall. 1947. I typed 1-9-4-7. Click. The door opened. Inside, an envelope. No label. Inside the envelope, photographs. Odette, Charles, Mitchell, and a fourth man I didn't recognize, standing over what looked like a dead body in a private hangar. Blood on the floor. Behind them, a jet with Calder logos. There was a note paper-clipped. If you find this, don't trust anyone named Calder. That includes you. The fourth man? I took a picture, sent it to Lex. 2 minutes later, she replied. That's Agent Miles Henner, FBI Financial Crimes Division. Went missing in 2021. Missing. I sat on the floor, knees to my chest. If the FBI was involved and gone, this wasn't about embezzlement. It was murder. My phone buzzed again. A new message. That flash drive you took wasn't the only copy, but it was the last untraceable one. We're coming for it. I stood. There was a sound outside the apartment. Heavy footfalls. Keys at the lock. They'd found me, but I wasn't running anymore. I slid the envelope into my coat, grabbed my mother's cane, metal core, sharp tip, and stood behind the door. Let them open it. Let them try. Let them see that the Calder they tried to erase had learned how to strike back. The lock turned. Not rushed. Not forced. A key. I stepped back from the door, my grip tightening around the cane. My pulse was a drum in my ears. People say fear sharpens the mind. That's only half true. Fear narrows it, makes the world a tunnel. The door opened. Helena stood there, alone. Her eyes went to the cane, then to my face. She exhaled, slow, like she'd been holding her breath for days. They sent someone else, she said. I lied. Said you weren't here. I didn't lower the cane. Why? Because if they came themselves, she said quietly, you'd already be dead. Cut. 10 minutes later, we were in my car, racing north along the coast. Helena gave directions without looking at the map. Her hands were steady now. Her voice wasn't. She married him last year, she said. Quietly. Courthouse. No guests. No photos. Mitchell Lawrence. She nodded. Your sister needed a firewall, a name the money could hide behind, a man who knew how to disappear funds without triggering federal alarms. And Charles? I asked. Her mouth tightened. Charles built the architecture. Mitchell moved the money. Odette decided who lived long enough to notice. The city fell behind us. Glass and steel gave way to cliffs and fog. Carmel. The penthouse sat above the water like it didn't belong to gravity. All glass. All angles. A place designed to make you feel small. Lex was already inside. How? I asked. She tapped her earpiece. Private event. Charity gala downstairs. Half the guests are drunk. The other half are lying. I looped the cameras for 6 minutes. That's all we get. 6 minutes. People underestimate how much damage can be done in 6 minutes. We moved fast. Inside, the penthouse smelled like citrus and ozone. Storm coming. The ocean below slammed against rock in slow, violent rhythm. Lex went to the server cabinet. Helena stood watch. I went to the desk. Folders. Contracts. A silver frame, turned face down. I flipped it. Odette. Mitchell. Champagne glasses raised. Smiling. Happy. A sound behind me. Applause. Slow. Deliberate. Well, Odette said, stepping out from the hallway, you finally stopped running. She wore white. Always white. Like she was the one who got to decide what stayed clean. Where's Mitchell? I asked. She smiled. He's not relevant anymore. The words landed heavier than a confession. You forged my signature, I said. You tried to drug me. You tried to lock me away. You were a liability. You're my sister. She shrugged. Blood is just biology. Power is choice. She stepped closer. I smelled her perfume. Familiar. Almost comforting. I gave you everything you needed, she continued. a career, protection, a seat at the table. You gave me scraps, I said, and called it mercy. Her eyes hardened. You should have stayed quiet. Behind her, the elevator chimed. Charles Levine stepped out. No briefcase, no mask, just a gun. The room tilted. You always were sentimental, he said to Odette. I told you she wouldn't stop. He turned the gun toward me. People don't like unfinished stories. Lex cursed from the cabinet. We've got company. Sirens. Distant. Rising. Odette's head snapped toward the sound. What did you do? Filed mandatory reports, Lex shouted. FBI. IRS. SEC. The whole alphabet. Turns out murder really complicates money laundering. Charles's jaw clenched. You think that stops this? No, I said, but it ends it. He moved. Fast. The gun swung toward Lex. I reacted without thinking. Lunged. The cane cracked against his wrist. Bone gave way with a sound I'll never forget. The gun skidded across marble. Odette screamed. Charles shoved me back. I hit the glass wall. Pain bloomed, white-hot across my spine. He reached for the gun. Odette got there first. She picked it up. For a moment, no one breathed. The ocean roared below us. Sirens closer now. Helicopter blades chopping the air. Odette looked at Charles, then at me. Her hand shook. He promised me forever, she said. He said I'd never be second again. Charles laughed. Actually laughed. You were always second. You just paid better. Something broke in her face. They say when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Odette had. Too late. She raised the gun. If you ever loved me, I said, my voice barely steady, don't let him win. Her eyes filled. Not with regret. With fury. The gun fired. Glass shattered. Charles fell. The room filled with screams and footsteps and shouting. I slid down the wall, shaking as agents poured in, weapons drawn, voices sharp and loud. Odette dropped the gun. She didn't look at me as they cuffed her. Not once. As they led her away, Lex crouched beside me. You okay? I nodded. Barely. Outside, the storm finally broke. Rain lashed the windows like applause. I watched the city lights blur and thought about something my father once said. How the most dangerous lies are the ones we tell ourselves to survive. I survived. But as the medics lifted me onto the stretcher, my phone vibrated in my pocket. One new message. No sender. You won the battle, not the war. The hospital ceiling was white. Too white. The kind of white that pretends nothing bad has ever happened beneath it. I stared at it for a long time, listening to the slow machinery of my own survival, the steady beep, the measured breath. Someone once said the body keeps the score. I believe that now. Every bruise, every ache, a ledger of truth. They told me I was lucky. That word tasted strange. Cut. The trial came fast. Faster than anyone expected. When lies collapse, they tend to do it all at once. Charles Levine pleaded out. Federal prison. No cameras. No speech. He avoided my eyes the one time we crossed paths in a hallway. A man who'd built empires with words reduced to silence by evidence. Mitchell Lawrence vanished before they could indict him. Offshore accounts frozen. Properties seized. A warrant issued that would wait for him as long as necessary. Time, after all, is patient. Odette didn't vanish. She fought. She sat in that courtroom like she still owned it. Tailored suits. Perfect posture. A woman who believed composure could substitute for innocence. When the verdict came down, guilty on all counts, she didn't cry. She looked at me, not with hatred, with something closer to disbelief. As if she still couldn't understand how the sister she'd overlooked had become the one who ended her. Cut. The company survived. Barely. The board asked me to step in. Interim oversight. Crisis management. I declined. Power, I'd learned, is not the same as control. And control is not the same as peace. Lex resigned the same day the verdict was announced. She hugged me hard in the courthouse hallway. Truth ages you, she said, but it also sets you free. Helena testified last. Quiet, precise, brave. She went back to school 3 weeks later. Nursing. Trauma specialization. Some people save lives loudly. Others do it with a spilled cup of coffee and a whisper at the right moment. Cut. I sold the estate. Every room in that house carried echoes. Laughter turned sharp. Love bent into leverage. I didn't want to live among ghosts who mistook proximity for loyalty. I moved north. Smaller place. Ocean nearby. Windows that opened. Mornings were quiet. I learned to drink coffee slowly again. Sometimes, when the steam rises just right, my hands still pause. Trauma doesn't vanish. It negotiates. But I've learned the difference between fear and instinct. Fear screams. Instinct whispers. And I listen now. Cut. On the anniversary of the verdict, I visited Eleanor Sang's grave. Simple stone. No flourish. I told her what happened. All of it. I told her she wasn't erased. That her voice had survived long enough to matter. There's a saying I keep coming back to, about how the truth doesn't always roar. Sometimes it waits, patient, unmoving, until someone finally dares to uncover it. I think that's what justice really is. Not revenge, not victory, but restoration. Cut. People still ask me about my sister. If I miss her, if I forgive her. Forgiveness, I've learned, is not an obligation. It's a choice. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to let the door stay closed. Blood doesn't entitle anyone to your silence. Love doesn't require your erasure. Family is not who shares your name. It's who refuses to poison you. Cut. On my desk now sits a single photograph. Not of Odette. Not of the company. It's Helena, smiling awkwardly on her first day of school. Lex beside her, holding up a peace sign. The ocean behind us, wide and indifferent and free. A reminder that survival is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a better one. I used to think being the youngest meant being the weakest, the one overlooked, the one dismissed. I was wrong. Sometimes the one they underestimate is the only one who sees clearly enough to stop the damage. Sometimes the life meant to be taken becomes the life that exposes everything. And sometimes the smallest interruption, a spilled drink, a whispered warning, can change the course of fate. I'm still here. And that, in the end, is the truth they never planned for.